Hey Cougs, welcome to a special episode of CoogsTalk where we're covering women's sports. I'm Camila Gonzalez.
I'm Elisha Qazi.
And I'm Christin Campbell.
Okay, let's get right into it. Today we're going to start with the expansion of the WNBA.
So, obviously, as everyone knows, this next season of the WNBA, the Golden State Valkyries are going to join. So, on December 6th, we're having an expansion draft. And so, what are your thoughts on that?
Man, I think it's really cool, but I also think it's kind of scary just being like a coach or a player in that situation, because I know teams are only holding 6 players that are protected. So just being a coach or a player, just kind of like that anticipation, like, am I going to end up on that team or where am I going to end up? I think that's super, just, I don't know how they deal with that.
Yeah, I mean, and then with the WNBA, like, rosters are only 12 players.
Right.
So that's literally only 6, that's half of your roster protected and the other half.
Right,
They
cut people for sure.
They could really end up anywhere. And obviously, with the expansion draft, the Valkyries recently announced that their head coach is going to be former Vegas assistant coach. So that's going to be interesting because obviously successful in Vegas. So it's going to be kind of interesting to see if she'll be successful with her own team as well.
Yeah, for sure. We should also talk about the Liberty, how they just won.
Yeah.
That's kind of a big
That
deal.
was, I mean, I did a CoogsTalk on it. In the game on it like a couple weeks ago. Yeah, that was intense. I think this WNBA season has been crazy.
Yeah.
Monumental season, like overall, with just viewership and like just, I mean, the amount of fans that have been in stadiums has been insane. So I think it's going to be insane. And then obviously we have even more expansion going on, like Portland, and then I heard like Canada, and then what was the other one?
Gosh, I don't even remember. But I just for the Liberty, like, it was that was like the most watched game. Like,
yeah, it was.
So that was kind of insane. I mean, I wish the Yankees could have pulled it out. You know, so
I don't watch baseball, so I have no idea.
Yeah, they cracked against the Dodgers, so that sucked. Everybody in New York was super excited, but I know they're still tearing up the city just because of the Liberty. So that's super duper exciting. And then I know also the WNBA, they want to start a team in Kansas City.
Yeah.
Brittany Mahomes and Patrick Mahomes, because they already own the KC Current.
Yeah,
so I feel like that makes sense. I mean, why not? They've got the funds for it. I feel like it'd be a good choice.
Yeah, I mean, and Kansas City, they get decent turnout at their stadium as well.
Absolutely.
So
Patrick Mahomes, the Chiefs. I mean, why not? Go watch a soccer game while you're at it. I feel like that would be fun. But yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
Y'all want to talk about the coaches getting fired?
Yeah. So this WNBA offseason started really interesting, to say the least. We're currently at 7 head coaches have been fired or let go or have left. We don't know the whole logistics to all of that.
Is that like half?
That's more than half, actually. Right now we have 12 teams. 7. I mean, obviously with the Valkyries coming, 13, but 7 of 12 coaches. Obviously, think the biggest shock for me, I think, leaving wise was Connecticut. Stephanie White left. I mean, I think at first I was shocked because I thought it was like a Connecticut getting rid of her type of situation, but now that I saw, I think, the press release, she left.
Yeah.
So I think
think she's gonna take her way back to the Fever?
That's what the streets are saying. That's what the people on the internet are saying. They're saying that she's gonna go back to the Fever and coach Caitlin Clark, and I mean, that'd be amazing to watch.
That'd be awesome.
That team has a lot of potential, especially with like a lot of people, free agency again with this season. A lot of people can decide whether to stay or leave Indiana. So I think if she does end up going to Indiana, that'd be a good reason for a lot of those players to stay.
Absolutely.
She's a great coach.
A lot of people are upset with them firing their current coach
Yes.
for the Fever, but I think it's a good choice. Like, she's a good coach, but I think they need somebody.
I think this team has a lot of potential. I don't think Sides made a lot of the decisions I would have made if I mean, obviously, like, I'm not a professional coach, but like, I think some of her decisions throughout the season were questionable with like lineups and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
But
I think she'll be back on another team.
Yeah, I mean that's my thing with obviously with the WNBA, 7 teams getting rid of their coach. Yeah. Is this gonna be a set of musical coaches where these coaches are just moving around the league?
Honestly, I could see that happening.
I don't know.
What I'm saying? We're in such we're witnessing history. We're so lucky to see that. So I think they're just experimenting.
And there's also a lot of coaches I feel like college coaches. I don't see a lot of them going to the WNBA, especially right now with like the state of women's college basketball.
Yeah, why would you?
So it's like I think it's going to be a lot of coaches moving around. I think again, obviously 7 coaches leaving teams. I think the ones that made the most sense to me, LA, they were lost this season. Makes a lot of sense. Atlanta, I know a lot of fans, especially, were very upset with the way that their coach was going about the team. Obviously, they turned it around at the end of the season, made it to like I think the last spot in the playoffs. Yeah. But a lot of fans weren't happy about that. And then DC as well kind of had a interesting season. Yeah. But other than that, I think the coach that for me I feel like was the most, I don't know if it was the right decision, was Dallas. Yeah. Obviously, half of the wings were injured throughout this season, like half the season. So I just think it wasn't fair on the coach. I think if we had a fully healthy season and then we still performed as,
you think they would have went on further?
I think last season the Wings made it to the playoffs. I think they made it to the semifinals, something like that.
I'm from Dallas, so I'm a big fan.
Yeah, I like the Wings. We got a good couple plays there. Sure. So I think, and the coach is really liked by the team. Right. So I think I would have.
That's my thing. Yeah. Like, I just feel like you cut this many coaches, like it's almost comical, right? If you look at the WNBA compared to the NBA, like that's something that would never happen, right?
That would be insane.
Where it's just growing like every day.
But I also think because of the growth of the league, I think GMs are maybe expecting more from coaches, but it's also like there's only going to be 6 teams that can make it to the playoffs. So then if this is a thing every season where you're cutting the bottom 6 coaches, then it's like.
But you got to think about it also. I mean, it's just started growing recently. Like, realistically, like no one was like people. I remember talking to people like, yeah, I'm not watching the WNBA. That's a joke. But now people are like, okay, I'll tune in or whatever. So you just got to think about it like that. I guess like it's up and coming. So.
And then I will say another tough one for me at least. I would say Teaspoon in Chicago. She obviously also got let go. It was her first season in Chicago. Right. I think one season. I mean, the players that she got in the draft, obviously Camila and Angel.
Yeah, big deal.
2 great players. Like, they're both coming into their own this season. Absolutely. Obviously, they lost Marina Mayberry during the season. Mm-hmm. Kennedy Carter had a good season. I just think it was like one season and then getting rid of a coach. I feel like they're not able to build anything.
Absolutely,
you know?
That's kind of a big thing. Not, I feel like it's not really fair to.
And then obviously in the offseason, there's a lot of free agency going on. So these head coaches, I don't know how it's going to impact free agency and obviously the expansion draft as well. Like how everything's working out, I really.
Coming up soon, what is it like?
December 6th.
No, it's soon, so I'm excited.
It's gonna be interesting to see how these coaches, these new coaching positions or whoever fills these roles, how it's gonna affect free agency and all that. Because I mean, a lot of players this offseason are choosing whether to stay at their team or leave.
Absolutely.
So it's gonna be a big season or a big offseason.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna switch over to women's college basketball. I don't know if y'all want to get started with rankings.
Yeah.
We could talk about how I guess like in this past year, Iowa, they lost Caitlin Clark and then LSU.
And Iowa lost Caitlin and then they dropped out of the top 25, which a lot of people were shocked about.
I mean,
it kind of makes sense to me.
I hate to say it, forgive me. She kind of carried the team. Like, I don't know. Like, she kind of carried the team.
They also did lose Kate, and Kate was really important to that team as well. But I think, for me, it's a little confusing because I feel like Iowa fans always talked about how Caitlin was, like, the only good player on the team.
I mean,
and now she's going to obviously.
Team full of talent, but
for sure. Hannah Stokey is still a great basketball player, and they got Lucy Olsen as well in the offseason. They got a lot of good players for the team, but I think when we're looking at, the top 25. Looking at these rosters compared to the Iowa roster, number 1, we've got South Carolina. Just won the national championship. They've lost Camila Cardoso, but other than that, like.
Are we surprised that you're not seeing a lot of their players
there are certain. With I guess talking about going to that All-American preseason All-American just dropped.
Surprised about that? They just won the national championship. So I'm like,
but I think it's like okay. You look at the preseason All-American. It's Paige Beckers, Juju Watkins, Hannah Hidalgo, Kiki Ayerafin, and Madison Booker. Right. I don't think any of those 5. I don't think there's a South Carolina player that gets in, and that's hard to say because I like those players. Malaysia Flo Wiley for me.
All those are predictable. You would expect that. They're all pretty talented players.
Each one of them, other than Kiki, were preseason player of the year for that conference. Juju, Paige, and Hannah were all All-Americans at the end of last season. Juju and Paige were both unanimous preseason All-Americans.
what?
Which
like,
is crazy.
Come on,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
But also, like, look at Paige and Juju. Like, if there was going to be 2 players that were going to be unanimous, it was going to be those 2.
Absolutely. I mean, what do we think? So LSU lost Angel Reese.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I don't know. I mean, she was a good player.
Yeah.
I don't know if she held the weight as far as on the court that like Caitlin Clark did for
Yeah.
Iowa.
I mean, with
She
LSU.
brought like a lot of like media attention
Yeah,
and
for sure.
like everything. She kind of talks about how her life like blew up right after that. So like, she talks like she's in the WNBA, just like a little side gig. Like I'll give y'all. I'll shoot a ball and shoot for you guys.
She's,
So, yeah.
LSU's going to be interesting this season. I think they brought in a lot of players in the transfer portal.
Right.
I think they're one of the 2 teams that brought in like really good players. I think them and UCLA, they brought in a lot of players in the transfer portal. Obviously, LSU ranked in the top 10.
Yeah.
Do
you think they have a chance for like another?
Yeah,
national championship? Last year was.
I don't see them going to the championship game,
Yeah.
but I can see them making it to at
Right.
least Elite 8. I can
There
see
are a
them
lot of
making
good
it there.
players.
Yeah.
I mean, they lost a lot. Like we got KT coming over.
Yeah,
here.
Kateri Poole.
And then they have Flaugier. She's really talented.
Yeah, I mean,
she's only
Flaugier,
gonna get better.
These
Only gonna get better.
past couple exhibition games they just had, she was insane.
So I feel like
Genuinely
she's gonna
great.
get better. She's like a really busy girl. I mean, just imagining being
Yeah.
in college, like and doing everything that she does, and
Yeah.
like balancing basketball and still being like a athlete that's
Yeah,
that
yeah.
talented, that committed.
And then obviously the Naismith Women's Player of the Year watch list came out. A lot of big names on that. Obviously, every single person that was named a preseason All-American on that, as well as some of the big players at South Carolina like Malaysia Flowiley, Raven Johnson, Tahina Paopao, and then those 3. I mean, watching them last season, they were great. And I think they had an exhibition game. They've had a couple exhibition games. I've seen them play. They're all still really great this season, obviously.
Yeah.
So
my thing is like I think all of that is honestly linked to like their coach. She's like a really
yeah,
good
Dawn
coach.
is-
She doesn't really
yeah.
play about the culture. So I think that's like the difference between a good team and a great team. As
Yeah.
you see like with women and like women's sports in general, like the coach is like the glue of the team.
Yeah.
You have all these talented players, but I mean if you don't have a coach that's like really big on culture, like Kim Mulkey is really big on culture, then you can't really get far as a team. It doesn't matter how much talent you
For
have.
sure. I mean, I would also look at players like AZ Fudd is back from injury, hopefully this season. Hopefully this will be her first ever season like without injuries. And I don't know if you guys ever saw AZ Fudd when she was fully healthy a couple years ago. Was one of the best players in the country. So I think she comes back, starts playing really well. It'll be very scary for the other teams. Other players, I mean, obviously Flaugier is on that list as well. I think she's going to be amazing this season.
Absolutely.
I think Georgia Amore was also on the list. She just moved from Virginia in Kentucky now, and that Kentucky team is like really interesting to see because it's a lot of transfers, and obviously the Virginia Tech coach also kind of moved there.
Yeah.
So that whole roster is going to be interesting, and that's I'm pretty sure that's SEC.
Well, they're
so
pretty good last year.
they're going to be
honestly, yeah. I'm looking forward to seeing them too. It's just a waiting game, honestly.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, you have any predictions for like Final Four, national championship, or anything like that?
I wish I could say. I don't want to,
I mean,
jinx it or anything.
I'm not trying to jinx nobody.
I really want to see LSU there again. Like, I
Really?
really do.
They could.
I really
interesting.
like that team just with the culture and the energy that they brought. I'm hoping that they can continue that without injuries and the players that they lost. Yeah, I'm really hoping to see them there. Everybody else, I'm, kind of watching, but them for sure. I really want to see LSU back there.
I mean, for me, knock on wood or whatever, but I would love to see, if possible, South Carolina, UConn. Way too early to predict, but that's my national championship game.
Yeah.
Like, I think obviously South Carolina and UConn, they play in December at some point. I'm pretty sure.
I feel like that's for sure everybody's ideal.
I
game.
mean, that would be.
I feel like that game.
Both those programs, especially with a healthy UConn team this season. Obviously, last season only had 7 players at most playing.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting to see. I'm really excited for women's college basketball this season. I'm going to keep up to date. It's going to be, I mean, obviously we're losing big names like Caitlin and Angel.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of players are going to...
Someone's going to step up.
They're going to step up to that light. I mean, obviously we've had, Juju, Hannah Hidalgo, Paige. Obviously it's her last season in college, but like, she's still going to be one of the biggest names to watch.
Absolutely.
It's her like farewell tour, I think, is what Gino said.
like that.
That's what Gino said. He was like, Paige farewell tour, everyone's going to want to watch. But it's going to be interesting to see what players step up and who, who stays healthy as well. I mean, it's women's college basketball.
Yeah.
We'll see how long it lasts till the injury
For
problems
sure.
come around.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Okay. Are you guys thinking anything about the preseason awards?
Yeah, we briefly touched on it. Obviously, preseason All-Americans, Paige, Juju, Hannah, Kiki, and Madison Booker.
Yeah.
I think, again, like, all 5 of them, I can see them being actual All-Americans at the end of the season.
Absolutely.
All 5 of them are just, like, insane. I remember during the summer, obviously Kiki just transferred from Stanford to USC. During the summer, they posted videos of her dunking, actually.
Wow.
Yeah,
No, that's a
and I was
big
like,
deal.
oh, okay, so
Wow.
they're just, flexing on everybody. Like, they have.
See,
I mean, I doubt she'll dunk during
honestly,
the season.
like, do we think, like, I don't know, this is my theory, but, like, one day, like, women will be dunking just the same as men. Like, we're evolving every day.
I don't know if you've seen any of these high school kids, but some of these high school kids are, like.
It's like, what are we eating? Like,
Yeah, I have no idea.
Food?
If
like,
I was tall, guys, you would see me dunking for real.
Yeah.
I promise. You probably not, but
sure,
you never know. But yeah, no, this season for women's college basketball is going to be insane. It's going to be another, I think, record-breaking season, hopefully. Hopefully, I mean, I'm just praying for a healthy season for everyone as well.
I'm excited to just watch. Hopefully everyone, of course, stays healthy. That's a big deal. Without that, you can't really be successful. But yeah, for sure.
Okay. So we're going to move on to our last topic of U of H volleyball.
So we're like, I think, halfway through the season-ish? About? Maybe a bit more than half.
Maybe more. Yeah. It's been a really good season. Not as good as like our past 2.
Obviously,
David Rear takes a lot of pride in the culture that he brings to the team and just the expectations. For his team, we're currently 4-5, which is like, dang, you go from getting to the tournament to this, but also you have to think like we have a lot of our bigger graduate like students or players, like they left, and we're trying to like,
obviously,
of course they're in a rebuilding stage again, so that's kind of like everyone.
Yeah, I mean, and then also looking at our conference, I was a little ignorant, but I didn't realize how good our conference was. I mean, we've got Arizona State, Baylor, TCU, Kansas. Yeah. They're all in like the top 15 schools.
We're not playing BS teams, right? Like,
I mean, volleyball. Sorry.
Right. We're not playing, just anybody, right? So we played Texas, right? They swept us, of course. They won the national championship. We didn't. We're expecting that, but honestly, in my opinion, there's no reason why we should have taken them like 18, 25, 19, 25.
I mean, that's close.
Like, that's a little embarrassing on their end. Like, that's kind of a win for us. A small one, but I'm like,
but I think
that close,
I think that just shows the potential of this team, though. It's
Absolutely.
It's like if we're doing that well against a team that's supposed to be the best, that just shows that, like,
and all of our games that we've like lost, we're not just losing in like 3 sets most of the time, except Texas. But like we're taking them 4 and 5 sets. We're gonna put up that fight, which I love about the culture of our team. I think that just has a lot to do again with the coaching, and then
I mean, we're just barely under 500. Like, it's not nothing crazy.
We got who do we have new? Angela Grieve. She came from Miami. She's a big
transfer.
Yeah.
No, came from Miami.
She's kind of like, she's been a really key component on offense, and then of course Kate Georgiades, she's still making her name.
I mean, she got Defensive Player of the Week for the conference a couple weeks, like a week ago or 2.
Yeah, and then we have some younger players, of course, coming in. So I feel like it's just they're in the rebuilding stages. I think in a year or 2 we'll be back where we were. Competing with everybody else, but it's just a matter of time. I feel like, it's just super exciting to see, honestly.
Yeah. Thank y'all so much for watching. I'm Camila.
I'm Elisha.
I'm Christin.
Go Cougs.